Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, says the 1999 constitution is responsible for Nigeria's problems. How so? And the recent ruling by a UK court asking Nigeria to pay the sum of 3.2 trillion naira to a British company or have its assets seized. How will this affect Nigerians, and will the government pay? This is Plus Politics, and I am Felicity Ezewuike. The 1999 Constitution is in large measure responsible for the problem we have in Nigeria today. The Constitution has discouraged and crippled development in the states. Consequently, Nigeria remains a poor country like most African countries. These are the words of Afe Babalola. Joining me to discuss this is a legal practitioner, Daniel Odukbe. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And of course, we have a political analyst, Fumi Dosumu Ayola. Pleasure to have you join us.
Nice to be here too.
I will start with you. Do you agree with this assessment that majority of Nigerians' problem can be rested on the altar of the 1999 Constitution as amended?
To a large extent, yes. I would agree with the learned senior advocate of Nigeria. The reasons are simple. There are certain fundamentals that ought to be in place before you come forth with, a constitution. The constitutions that preceded the 1999 Constitution enjoyed some of those things. Unfortunately, this particular constitution in question did not, enjoy that. I'll give you a good example. Now, issue has it that let me say it's common knowledge that before that constitution came to force, what we had was a constitution drafting commission that was put together by the military. They worked on it and they reported to the military. If you are going to the democracy, that is not the way to do it. You need to give sufficient opportunity for every segment of the society to make representations. All right, so that is a fundamental flaw. So when we say the people's constitution, it is not exactly true. That's number one. Then the other issue is the issue of federalism, which is perhaps the biggest challenge facing us in terms of governance in Nigeria today.
We'll get to that in a bit, but I just want also to get your thoughts before we continue with this conversation. How would you react to this comment? When you heard it, what were your thoughts?
Okay, my thought first of all, he didn't particularly state any part of the Constitution. He just generalized the entire Constitution. And I think that for that reason, I will not agree with him, because I think that the whole Constitution, the Constitution as a whole, it's not in its entirety that is wrong. A few phrases here and there, but to say that the entire Constitution is the cause of our problems in Nigeria, I certainly don't agree.
Okay, he did make a little bit of clarity. We do know this is not the first time we're having conversations about our Constitution. We'll get to that in a bit, but let's talk about his comment. He says that this is not the first time. I mean, some of the arguments against the document is that it protects practices and criminal impunity in governance, and it is a relic, that's the strongest part, of the military era. Let me start with you. What's your...
Okay, it is true on the fact that it's a relic of the military, but it's expected, considering the fact that it was our president turned our military, how do I call him now? General...
Muhammadu Buhari is now our president.
Yes, no, but the Constitution was done in 1999 under General Olusegun Obasanjo. So it's expected that a lot of military input will come into it. The guy was basically a military guy. So more often than not, he would think more like the military, which is why there's a referral to the fact that it's part of the military. It was a relic of the military, And I actually think that the president at the time wanted to arrogate certain powers to himself, which is why the Constitution was stated in the way that it was stated.
He said something about the need for us to do something like a sovereign national conference again to address the issue of our Constitution. This is also not the first time. We've had the National Confab of 2014, and nothing seemed to have been done with that one. do we need another conference? If yes, what hopes are there that it will be implemented?
Okay, so indeed, I agree that we do need a national conference. What we have never had before is a sovereign national conference, which is what the learned senior advocate is calling for. Now, the way it is done, usually is that. So I just needed to clarify earlier, the constitution, yes, indeed, is a relic of the military. What happened was, like I said, they had a commission, they set up a commission, and indeed, they actually gave opportunities for representations to be made by different segments of society. But it was not driven by the people. It was obvious that these guys had done the work. The ultimate say was the military. They had the liberty to speak and choose whatever they want and what have you. And that was the constitution that they now ushered in President Odysseus Compassion. It was on the basis of the 1999 constitution that the election of that year were conducted, basically. So yes, so indeed we need a sovereign national conference, because the idea of a sovereign national conference is that whatever outcome that such conference produces will be binding on the state, will affect the constitution, will affect whoever is in governance. And to answer the second question, whether there's any hope, unfortunately, there's no hope. From beginning, from I don't want to say from time immemorial.
So what is the point of calling? Because we already have one that has been done, that has been done, but there is no implementation. Yes. There's even contention as to the validity of the decisions made in that confab.
And that's a challenge.
So if we go ahead and do another one.
Maybe I should, if you don't mind, maybe I should really clarify what I meant by there's no hope. There's no hope that it will be done with this present administration. Of course, if we successfully do it, it will have good impact.
Why is it there is no hope? They're just starting the
because their body language has been clear. President Muhammad Buhari made it clear via his body language that he wasn't going to, implement the confab report, and his body language has always been clear. He is not one for sovereign national conference. It's clear.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Yes.
Okay, so the last confab, nothing has been done about it. That's my own. So why on earth are we calling for another? I would have said, take the report from the last confab and then look at it and do a retweaking. But why call for a sovereign national conference? It makes no... I think Afe Babalola is playing to gallery, if you ask me.
You know what the problem? The problem is that, those who have the responsibility to implement it have refused to do so. What can you do?
So what will the new one do?
So what we're trying to avoid is we're saying, don't just call it a confab, what have you. Let us have a sovereign national conference, because we know
the one we had before was not sovereign.
It wasn't sovereign, yes, absolutely, it wasn't sovereign, and that has implications.
You need to explain that to me.
In the sense that the idea of a sovereign national conference is that it is binding, and every government is afraid of that. In other words, if it is clear that this is the will of the people, the government will be bound by it, and that's what the government is afraid. I don't know
why they're afraid of. Okay, you said something about federalism earlier. I want to bring us back to that. We've had the 8th Assembly that just left made efforts to amend the 1999 Constitution. The issue of devolution of powers, the issue of sovereignty. Resource control,
yes,
so to speak.
Yes.
A lot of issues came up, but nothing was concluded. Some of it were moved aside. What hope is there? Should we consider further amendment as an option? Because the possibility of a sovereign national conference, like you both agree, might not be too quickly accessible to the people of Nigeria.
Should we consider amendments? Yeah, maybe as a palliative measure, really, because, on the long run, what the lasting solution that we need is to give the people of Nigeria an opportunity to have a say.
Yeah, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We'll go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Don't go anywhere.